is Rich. And I'm Chris. And we are mental health crisis workers.
So we respond to people in distress. It could be thoughts of suicide, someone having a psychotic episode, or even someone having a panic attack. We also do outreach at local homeless shelters and mental health drop-ins.
Yeah, you're just as likely to see Rich and I downtown on the job as you are out in the suburbs. So in our experience, we've seen people at their best, at their worst, and pretty much everything in between. So we have perspective to see where the largest barriers exist in the mental health system.
A big barrier is that there's this unseen, hard-to-reach population in mental health. They could be out on the street, but they could also be in our homes. And a reason for that is obviously stigma and resources, but it's also because the mental health system is very reactionary. So we don't see people until they've reached that crisis point.
Yeah, and when we do get an opportunity to see someone, we have to deal with mental health worker stigma. So that's us being perceived as the white coats, just trying to push pills or hospital admission on people.
Traditionally, the mental health system focuses on your illness and what you can't do. But we like to focus on people's passion and what they can do.
Yeah, we believe that this is a better starting point. And where we started was looking at what we're passionate about, and that's music. We're amateur musicians, and we love to talk about, play, and listen to music.
So we started using music in our jobs a couple of years ago just to kind of like build rapport, talk about favorite bands, things like that. And then over the crisis line, we started also just suggesting songs like, Beatles song to get you through the day kind of thing.
Yeah, mental illness is on the rise, and it affects us all as a society. So it might be, you might feel helpless to want to intervene, but we don't feel that way. We thought the best thing that we can do is to start a music group. And the first music group that we started was simply playing and talking about music. So why music?
Music is a gateway. It's a way to connect people, and it's also a very safe way to explore these issues in mental health and addictions.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question. Show your response through some applause. Who loves rock music? Woo! Okay, we got the rock and rollers. How about who loves folk music? What about hip-hop? Who loves hip-hop? Even though these genres are completely different, you guys just illustrated one thing. We all love music.
So back in the fall, Chris and I were doing a music group with these young guys that had had their first psychotic episode. So hallucinations and delusions mostly. We were coming into the group without that experience. And so what we did the first day was we ran around and we did that. And we asked people what their favorite music was, and that kind of brought out their passion. So that really helped us focus on what we have in common instead of what separates us.
Yeah, in all our groups, we meet on the level of music. We use music as a safe gateway to talk about mental health and addictions issues. So this can best be illustrated through a story of actually our first ever music group we did at a local homeless shelter here. And when we first went in there that day, we went to connect with this one gentleman who had a long history of addictions issues and was presently trying to cope through that. And when we got there, we tried to engage with him, but at that moment, he just did not have the words to express what he was going through. But as soon as we started up that music group, we were talking about our favorite music, and someone brought up the song The Needle and the Damage Done by Neil Young. Classic tune. And that was one of his favorites. And when we started playing that, he opened up about his experiences, his very unique experiences, and what he was going through. So in that moment, music was his gateway.
So we took it to the next level, and in the mental health drop-in we were doing the group, and we thought we'd try some songwriting. So winter was coming, people get seasonal affective disorder, so we thought, why don't we get everyone to write down kind of something they love about winter? So we did that, and it ended up being this awesome song that they wrote. We helped them with it, but there's like one verse there, but it had 3 verses, a bridge, chorus. And we brought this song and showed the new psychiatrist at our work, Dr. Naeem, who's out there somewhere. And he thought that it sounded a lot like CBT, which is Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, and he challenged us to write songs about CBT concepts.
So what is CBT? Well, simply, it's talk therapy. And that can happen one-on-one with a therapist or with a group of people. It's got a problem-solving focus. So it's really kind of identifying what's going on right now. And it's been validated through evidence-based research, and it's one of the best ways that we have to treat depression and anxiety. And it can be remembered with one simple phrase. The way that we think about things affects how we feel and what we do. So it can also be illustrated through the CBT 5-part model. What is the interconnection between your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, your physiology, and your environment? And the answer is, that is your experience. That is your mental health. If one of those things is negatively impacted, it's going to impact them all.
Think about when you were a kid. How did you learn your ABCs?
We developed a 9-week therapy program that delivers CBT through music. We wrote a bunch of songs, one of which we'll play in a little bit. But we essentially musicalize CBT therapy to better educate and engage clients.
So music is our metaphor. We use it to explain CBT concepts, but it's also a great way to understand and explore mental health in general.
Okay, another question for you guys. Who here has seen an amazing live concert? You too. Think back to that concert. Undoubtedly, when you were there, you were seeing a band acting as one. You know, the bassist and the drummer were just, engaged in a tight rhythm together. The vocalist and guitarist exchanging looks, anticipating every move. The band was probably just so connected. But if one of those members had been off that night, it was going to affect all the members and the music that they created. So our main musical metaphor that we use in our group is comparing the CBT 5-part model with our 5-piece band model. Drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, vocalists, like classic rock lineup. How do thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, how do they create your experience in the same way a tight band creates great music? Each of these pieces make a whole. So we need to look at the individual pieces to gain insight.
So if you've got a gig tonight and your bass player is going through a rough breakup, think about how that's going to influence the show. Just like if you're having negative thoughts, that's going to influence how you feel and what you do.
So in the past year, we did a music group with a local high school here. It was a class of students with depression and anxiety. And we needed a really unique way to explore the question, how does music reflect the basic needs of life? These are like the activities of daily living that we need for positive mental health. So we explained it like this. In music, you have rules that you need to abide by. Just as in life, you have structures and routines. So they serve the same purpose. They achieve balance and harmony. So if we're going to play in the key of mental health, for harmony, we're going to need some notes like healthy eating, exercise, work and hobbies, like a sense of purpose. You play these notes together, you're going to get a chord that sounds very pleasing and resonant. But if you start to sub in some notes that are like isolation, drugs and alcohol, little to no sleep, you're going to have less harmony in your mental health.
Another thing that we've musicalized is breathing. So if you have anxiety or if you're worried, your breathing is very shallow. And that can create kind of this like fight or flight system to kick in, and it creates a vicious cycle. So what you do, like what Chris and I did before we came out, was breathing in your belly, which can help relax you and can really combat the anxiety. And so we use a harmonica to show that so that people can not only hear it, but they can practice it. And we'll show you just kind of the differences. So check it out when he's doing shallow breathing. Doesn't feel very good. What about if he takes a deep breath? Feels much better. So that's how we empower people to practice their breathing, and it's a really powerful way to combat that anxiety.
So when we have health and happiness, we have balance. So how do we work towards that balance?
We become a musician of life. So that's building skills, that's using music as our metaphor, but it's also being in the moment. So if you're in a jazz band and you're about to do a solo, you're not going to be worrying about the song that just happened or the song that's coming up. You're going to be in the moment, ready to improvise. So just like in life, you need to be in the moment so you can be creative, you can problem solve, and you can improvise.
What if you could recognize your own symptoms of mental health and write yourself a prescription? You know, maybe you'd ask yourself questions like, how's my mood doing today? It's a little low, I'm feeling kind of down, and my anxiety's way up, I'm on edge today. Instead of thinking, what medication should I take? How about also thinking, what song should I prescribe myself? In our group, we encourage all of our participants to take an active role in their own treatment. We encourage them to be musical psychiatrists.
So Chris had mentioned that we did some CBT concept songs. We're going to show you one. And this one is based off of Bob Dylan's Like a Rolling Stone, off the melody of that. And the idea behind it is behavioral activation. So if you've got a low mood, you tend to do less. But in doing less, you feel worse. So behavioral activation helps to kind of activate your activities and boost your mood. And what we do is we leave some blanks on the song so that people can bring it home for homework and fill in some activities they enjoy and in turn start that process. So we'll show you a quick bit of this song. The less you do, the worse you feel. The worse you feel, the less you're bound to do. It's a vicious cycle, let's get out and start to do things that are relaxing to you. Increase activities that inspire you and enhance your point of view. Start small, get up and go. Break it down into attainable goals. Make a list of activities and build on it day to day. It feels good. It feels good to be journaling thoughts, to go for a walk, or sit down and talk. So we all know you love music, but possibly some of you guys think that you're not musicians.
That perception of, I am not a musician, that is a barrier to being a musician of life. We all have the capacity to play and enjoy music. So that's something we address right in the first session of our CBT music group. And we do that through something called a behavioral experiment, a CBT concept. So what we do is, usually a CBT behavioral experiment is used to address somebody who is in an anxiety-provoking situation, so something like playing music in front of others. Or also to challenge a fixed belief that they may have, like, I am not a musician. So we're going to do one of those here today, a CBT behavioral experiment. Woo. And to do that, we need the help of our host, Elias. If I'm okay. So Elias, thank you very much.
The Theron and I are well acquainted with each other.
Okay. So this is a theremin. And we try to use an instrument that hopefully the person, if not, has never seen before, never played before. And what we do, we ask, will you play for us a 30-second solo on this instrument?
No choice.
So to do that, to play the theremin, it's real simple. There's two antennas. There's a volume antenna and a pitch antenna. So if I hold my hand constant here, that's volume. This one's pitch. Simple.
Cool.
So we'll have you jam on this, and the key is we're going to support you. You got it. We're going to support you. Rich is going to be accompanying on the guitar, and we're all going to be clapping along. So,
All right.
Clapping for the last time.
So
just
we need everybody to start clapping. All right. There we go.
Fun.
So it felt good.
How did you feel, Mike? As I make desperately for off stage. That was really neat. Interesting that I really kept coming back. It goes like a D. Kept coming back to a D. It's like, this is just a note. I like this note.
But you got it. You played a solo in front of Soul Crowd.
And thanks very much for letting me take part.
Thank you.
So yeah. This is not just for the hard-to-reach population in mental health, because we can all work on our mental health. And since music is a great way to educate about mental health, this can be for the greater community.
So we've essentially musicalized our jobs. You know, we've gotten some amazing feedback from the clients that have taken the group. They really appreciate the non-clinical approach. We've been able to present the group at different academic and mental health conferences. And we've had some amazing support from our colleagues and coworkers who have helped us to refine the group and also identify the clients they think might benefit the most.
It's also grown into a research project at Queen's University, and we've done a pilot study that's shown a decrease in symptoms of anxiety and depression in the people that took the music group.
But more importantly, it's gotten people reconnected with music in their lives. Using music in a practical, skill-based way so they can better educate themselves about mental health and hopefully improve their mental health.
So we challenge you to musicalize your mental health.
To use music as your lens to see the world and music as your metaphor for life.
Embrace your inner musician. The band is waiting.